أشهد
أن
أن
لا إله
لا إله
إلا الله
إلا الله
وأشهد
وأشهد
أن
أن
محمدا
محمدا
رسول الله
رسول الله.
وأشهد
الله أكبر.
Hello Muslim friends of the world. Like Muslims in other parts of the world, Muslims in Dagestan, Russia also pay great attention to Ramadan. Spiritual advisor for the Russian Dagestan Krepost Adaptation Center, Arif Sultan Magomedov, said that Muslims in his region compete in goodness when Ramadan arrives. In Dagestan, the month of Ramadan is like a big holiday for 1 month. This is because Dagestan during the month of Ramadan and outside the month of Ramadan is different, he said. Quoted from nu.or.id. The specialty of Ramadan in the Russian Federation can be seen from the habit of people competing to become sponsors or donors in providing free iftar and sahur menus. Ramadan events in Dagestan must have someone sponsoring the event, and people are fighting over it. They are competing with each other to sponsor breaking the fast, explained Arif Sultan Magomedov. The free iftar menu is not only provided at certain locations such as mosques, but is also distributed free of charge to motorists who are still on the road when the Maghrib call to prayer sounds. In the month of Ramadan, usually when it is near the Maghrib call to prayer, there are people sharing on the street. They go out on the street and give to those on the street. It's like that everywhere, said Arif Sultan. The duration of fasting in a day is longer for Muslims in Russia. Sino-FREU chair Amy Maulana said that Muslims in Russia fast for approximately 17 hours. Usually they eat sahur around 3:00 in the morning. The challenge this year is a little more comfortable. This year the fasting range is 16 to 17 hours, so you will have sahur at 2:00 or 3:00 in the morning, then break the fast at around 21:00 at night, said Amy. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, the duration of Ramadan fasting ranges from 13 to 14 hours, depending on the geographical location of each province in the country. Like children in Indonesia who have notebooks of Ramadan activities, children in Russia also have similar habits. Each child will fill their Ramadan book with activities such as Taraweeh prayers. At the end of Ramadan, each child's notebook will be evaluated. There are prizes for the lucky ones. There is a Ramadan book tradition for Taraweeh records. In Russia, take a book, fill it in, and at the end of Ramadan, whoever is lucky will get an Umrah prize, explained Arif Sultan. There is a slight difference in customs between Muslims in Dagestan and in Indonesia, namely when paying Zakat Fitra. Arif Sultan said that Muzaki in Russia prioritize paying Zakat with basic foodstuffs rather than money. Even those who only have money will usually exchange it for basic food at Zakat counters. Priority is given to staple foods, but for other places you can get money. But in front of the mosque there will be an outlet for exchanging basic commodities, Arif Sultan explained. Culinary banquets for Muslims are everywhere. This is the Ramadan culture that is identical in Russia. Culinary banquets are usually held at mosques. At banquets, lots of food and drinks are provided for each visitor, especially for breaking the fast. There are types of food that must be served, especially for breaking the fast and sahur in Russia. Usually the food served is like soup cooked with other ingredients including meat, potatoes, onions, and vegetables. Muslims in Russia are not nearly as willing to eat simple foods, such as milk and jam as most Europeans used to be. The reason is very simple, because during fasting they do not eat lunch as usual. So milk and jam do not provide enough energy to work. In addition, temperatures in Russia are often too low and can reach below 0 degrees Celsius. Therefore, consuming milk and jam as a meal for sahur or breaking the fast cannot provide enough calories to maintain normal body heat to survive a hard day. Of course, they need food that can make them strong during Ramadan to get through the cold temperatures and working conditions which may be tiring. Therefore, highly nutritious foods and sufficient calories are part of the Ramadan culture in Russia. During Ramadan, alcoholic drinks usually consumed by non-Muslims in Russia are prohibited. This is a Ramadan culture in Russia to respect Muslims who fast. Alcoholic drinks themselves are a modern tradition for many people, including non-Muslim Russians. Meanwhile, in Islam, any alcohol is forbidden by Allah. However, in this holy month, the entire civilization appreciates Russian Muslims who fast in the month of Ramadan so that they are not tempted to try drinking these alcoholic drinks. Many Muslims have more free time during the holy month of Ramadan. So they usually fill their free time by reading the Quran. They do it anywhere and any time to be more pleased with Allah. They do it at work, home, campus, school, and mosque. And recently, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Islam was experiencing a revival in Russia. He also noted that Russian Muslims stand shoulder to shoulder with their compatriots and continue to defend the country's security. In an interview published on the Foreign Ministry's website for the documentary Path to an Islamic World, Lavrov said Islam in Russia is living through an unprecedented revival. Russian Muslims live side by side in harmony with traditional cultures and other religions. Our joint work reveals largely overlapping assessments of the intercivilizational and interreligious problems that are being discussed in our countries and internationally. We stand united in upholding spiritual and moral values, rejecting Islamophobia, Christianophobia, or other forms of religious intolerance, Lavrov said. Lavrov said Russia has traditionally developed friendly relations with Muslim-majority countries. They are united by a commitment to building cooperation between countries based on the principles of equality, consideration of common interests, and the search for a balance of interests. Deputy head of Russia's presidential administration Magomedov Magomedov said Russia had seen a record increase in the number of mosques in recent decades. This increase, according to him, was also accompanied by the increase in the Muslim community in Russia. That's the information about Ramadan facts in Russia that you can know. Hopefully Muslims who observe fasting this month can enjoy being blessed and carry it out to the fullest.